The strange thing is this. Even if you stopped buying coffee, stopped ordering food, stopped upgrading your phone, and saved every spare dollar you had, most people watching this would still fall behind. That isn't pessimism. That's math. And that's why, for an entire generation, saving money doesn't feel responsible anymore. It feels pointless. Not because people are lazy or reckless, and not because they don't understand budgeting, but because the rules quietly changed while everyone was still playing the old game. Parents, teachers, politicians, and finance influencers keep repeating a sentence that used to be true: just save your money. That sentence was designed for a different economy, a world where time worked in your favor instead of against you. To understand why saving feels broken, structural, you have to stop thinking about money as something personal and start seeing it as something structural. For decades, saving money was supposed to do three things at once. It gave you safety, it gave you options, and over time, it quietly made you richer. You earned income, spent less than you earned, put the difference in a savings account, and interested the rest. That was the deal, and for a long time it worked not because people were smarter, but because the system rewarded patience. In the 1970s and 80s, a basic savings account could pay 5, 6, sometimes even 10%. While inflation moved slowly, housing was cheap relative to income, and college wasn't a lifelong financial injury. Money sitting still could still grow. Today, money sitting still doesn't grow. It shrinks. That's the first quiet betrayal. If your savings earn 1% while inflation runs at 4%, you aren't preserving value. Even though it looks that way on a screen, you're losing it slowly, invisibly, politely. No alarm goes off, no bill arrives, and the number still goes up. But what that number can buy, quietly goes down. That gap is where the frustration lives, because people can feel it long before they can explain it. They save for years, check their balance, and realize the finish line moved faster than they did. Inflation alone doesn't explain why saving feels pointless. It only explains why saving feels fragile. The deeper issue is that the economy now rewards ownership far more than effort, and saving plain, cautious saving is not ownership. Wages move slowly, assets move fast, and that gap has widened into a canyon. Over the last few decades, productivity exploded as technology made workers more efficient than ever, but wages barely moved at all. Meanwhile, asset prices soared not because houses got better or companies became ethical, but because money became cheap. After every major crisis, 2000, 2008, 2020, central banks stepped in. Interest rates went down, and liquidity flooded the system. This wasn't evil, it was emergency medicine. But medicine has side effects. Cheap money doesn't flow evenly through the economy. It flows toward whoever already has access to capital. If you own assets, low interest rates feel like a gift. Your mortgage gets cheaper, and your net worth grows almost automatically. If you don't own assets, cheap money does almost nothing for you, except push prices higher everywhere you look. When money becomes easier, the value of money falls, but the value of things bought with money rises. So the people who already own things win twice, and the people trying to save cash lose quietly. Saving used to be a bridge to ownership. Now it's a waiting room, and the longer you wait, the more expensive the door becomes. You're running up a down escalator. Even disciplined savers eventually realize they're doing everything right and still losing ground. That's not a mindset problem. That's a system problem. Now add debt. Debt is framed as a personal failure, but structurally, it has become unavoidable. Education demands it, healthcare creates it, and housing almost guarantees it. Here's the irony. Debt is cheap for the wealthy, and expensive for everyone else. Debt becomes a tax on the future. Some people use debt to grow faster, others use it just to survive. And that difference compounds. Now layer in the job market. Careers used to be ladders. Now they feel more like treadmills, with less stability, thinner benefits, and pensions quietly disappearing. People are told to save for emergencies. But emergencies are no longer rare. Medical bills, rent spikes, layoffs, and family obligations are part of the baseline. Savings become a buffer, not a builder. You don't watch them grow, you watch them get consumed. So when someone says just save more, what they're really saying is absorb more risk personally, and that feels unfair, because it is. At the same time, public hype is everywhere: invest early, compound interest is magic, anyone can build wealth. Those statements aren't lies, but they're incomplete. Compounding only works when you have surplus. Time only helps when you can afford to wait, and access matters more than discipline. The system is extremely good at rewarding people who already crossed the starting line. If you begin with assets, saving feels powerful. If you begin with wages alone, saving feels like stalling. That's the psychological fracture. People aren't rejecting saving because they hate responsibility. They're rejecting a promise that no longer matches reality. They see that the biggest financial leaps come from timing, leverage, ownership, and positioning, being in the right place when money floods the system. And they feel locked out. Take risks and you might get ahead or wiped out. Play it safe and you fall behind slowly. Saving feels pointless not because it's useless, but because it's insufficient. It's defense in a game that now requires offense. And here's the most uncomfortable part. The system isn't broken by accident. Modern economies are designed to keep money moving. Spending drives growth. Consumption keeps employment high. and debt smooths shocks. Large-scale saving actually slows the system down, so institutions quietly discourage it through low interest rates, tax structures, and inflation. No announcement is made, and no conspiracy exists. It's simply how the incentives stack up. If everyone saved aggressively, the economy would stall. So the system nudges people to spend, borrow, and take risk instead. The cost of that nudge is instability and stress. Zoom out far enough and the long-term consequences become clear. When an entire generation feels patience to centipede, behavior changes. Some chase risk early, some speculate, some disengage entirely. One path creates bubbles, the other creates resentment. Neither restores the old promise. Saving still matters, but not for the reason people were taught. It no longer builds wealth, it reduces fragility. That's a much smaller promise. And maybe that's why it feels so disappointing. Because people didn't just lose purchasing power, they lost a story. A story where discipline led to security, time worked in your favor, and playing by the rules made sense. Now the rules are quieter, more technical, and tilted toward those who already understand them. So here is the unresolved question. If saving is no longer a path to progress, and only a tool for survival, what replaces it as the foundation of financial life? And what happens to a society when survival becomes the goal, instead of growth? Give the answer in comments, subscribe the channel, and press bell icon. Thank you.